TGI Friday, everybody. It's the 16th of May. We're halfway through the month. Thomas Miller on the Fun Astrology Podcast. Thanks for joining us. You kind of know from what we've been talking about in the weekly video that's on the YouTube channel, what we discussed on Wednesday, and forecast what is looking like things in the sky, the vibe for this weekend. First of all, the big one that we have to acknowledge is that tomorrow evening at 7:30 p.m. Eastern is when the Sun and Uranus go mwah. That, in some astrology circles, they say conjunction, but I like mwah better, don't you? And that has connotations of radical self-independence, for one thing. A new, fresh look at astrology, maybe from some perspective where you start to implement something to move it forward in your life. You buy a course. I happen to know where one is if you would like to do so, funastrology.com. You might veg out on astrology videos all weekend. That's the stuff of Sun and Uranus. The other thing is there could be a shakeup involved. There could be a surprise. There could be a change of direction. I had that this week, a change of plans earlier in the week. Knowing that this aspect was out there and it was building, this was all the way back at the beginning of the week. But I just rolled with the changes. I just didn't resist anything, didn't push anything. It's like any change or surprise, I figure, is for my good, not for my bad. So that energy stays strongest, actually, today and tomorrow. Then it will pretty quickly dissipate as the Sun over the next week moves away from Uranus. It gets weaker and weaker every day. So whatever piece of that pie you want to try to lean into energetically, there are several things you can do there. And seriously, radical overhaul with something to do with your own self is definitely supported by the sky, whatever that is. And intuition could play a big piece of you determining what that is. Moon entered Capricorn yesterday afternoon, so we still have that self-care, stable, slow and steady, get things done. The project list over the weekend should be structural things that help you move forward in the long game versus the to-do list that is just all the short-term stuff. Don't focus on that this weekend. Focus on the long-term stuff, at least today and tomorrow. Sunday, you can pull that radical get-her-done list out when the moon goes into Aquarius early Sunday morning. Now, the other aspects are these that are coming in focus with the nodes of the moon. So Jupiter ends up in an exact square to the nodes of the moon on Sunday afternoon, 2:45 Eastern. That's building today and tomorrow, and obviously Sunday morning. And as Jupiter is squaring the nodes, it also is sextiling, that's a favorable aspect, to Chiron. And this is all packaged in the big lunar self-care package of this weekend. So are you seeing where we might do some work here personally? Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Well, this is a chance to focus on the spiritual being part. So part of our Capricorn self-care could be taking a look at those wounds, those dark places of our life, those areas yet unresolved. I've found something to be really interesting over the years. It's not an all-in-one kind of thing. You don't have to eat the whole elephant in one bite. It truly is a journey. And what surprised me is that when we just stay present to the fact that we are on this spiritual path, so we live our daily lives, the human side of Deschardins' quote, but we always have that spiritual piece in mind. And when something comes up that presents itself as an opportunity for us to look at that, we stop, and we're ready. Game on. Grab your journal. Sit down with a cup of chai tea. Start to pick it apart. Listen intuitively. Ask questions. Do some muscle testing. If you haven't seen them, check out those videos that I posted. They're on the Subconscious Mind Mastery Podcast YouTube channel. They were posted in February. You can use that process described in those two videos to start to ask questions. But the thing that I've observed is that when we are open like this and when our antenna is always up, then the universe doesn't have to get our attention. And that's when we experience the shadow sides of Saturn and Pluto. When that happens and Saturn and Pluto have to get on us, then we're either not awake or we're resisting. Something for our highest good has been presented to us and we're kicking and screaming and going the other way. And sometimes the lessons come in where the universe sits back, folds its arms and says, okay, have it your way. And then we wonder why this stuff doesn't work. That's one. Or the universe says, no, you signed up for this. You agreed. I'm doing my part. We're going to do your part too. And it's the stern side of Saturn and Pluto, the disciplinarian side, getting us back on course. So this weekend offers both of those kinds of energy. The choice is up to us as to how we're going to respond to it. So I hope your antenna is up, your chai tea mug is loaded and ready, and if it does show up for you this weekend, game on. Fully expecting to hear from Merriman this weekend, and I will see you back again on Monday. Have a great day. Thanks for listening. Sending all kinds of good love.